Hello and welcome to Brainwaves episode 157, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. I'm Iain McAllister.
My name is Oliver Kinner.
And I'm Jamie Adams, and these are the headlines for the week of Monday the 3rd of February 2025. Diamonds aren't forever, Asmodee shuns the embrace, and Ennies break with AI next year. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Diamond Comic Distributors, a leading American distributor of comic books, graphic novels, and pop culture merchandise, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The bankruptcy petition lists 30 unsecured creditors, with Penguin Random House as the largest, owed $9.2 million. Other major creditors include Bandai at $4.3 million, NECA at $2.6 million, Wizards of the Coast at $914,000, and Hasbro at $1.06 million. Several comic publishers and computer game publishers like Square Enix are also owed significant sums of cash. To deal with the situation, Diamond Comic Distributors is working on a restructuring plan that includes selling off major assets. At the center of this plan is Alliance Game Distributors, one of the largest hobby game distributors in the United States. It offers an extensive selection of role-playing games, collectible card games, miniatures, board games, and hobby accessories. Universal Distribution, a UK distributor of a number of high-quality niche products to both trade and retail customers, has signed a non-binding letter of intent to acquire Diamond UK and also submitted a $39 million stalking horse bid for Alliance Game Distributors. A stalking horse bid is an initial offer made on a bankrupt company's assets in order to establish a minimum purchase price before an auction. In a post on Blue Sky, Fred Hicks, president of Evil Hat Productions, a US company that produces role-playing games and other tabletop games, warned that cashing in checks issued by Alliance Game Distributors is being blocked. Hicks said this:
They just put in a stop order on a check from 20th of December 2024 that I deposited recently to the tune of $8,000.
Diamond Comic Distributors is also exploring the sale of its remaining divisions, including Diamond Book Distributors, Diamond Select Toys, and the Collectible Grading Authority. Thanks very much to Corey from our Discord for bringing this story to our attention. That's a lot of money owed. Obviously, there's a couple of companies that we're very familiar with in there, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. A bunch of different computer game companies are owed money as well. It's probably the smaller publishers that would be hit hardest by something like this. A big company like Wizards, Hasbro can probably weather the storm a bit, despite the large sums of cash involved. Any thoughts on this, gents?
Well, I didn't actually see what sort of the situation of that company is, Diamond Comic Distributors. Whether, I mean, obviously lots of companies have lots of debts, but what is their cash situation like and assets and all that? So my question basically is how much can they recoup and pay their creditors, and how bad is it actually? It's bad, but
yeah, if it's anything like UK sort of bankruptcy protection, that kind of thing, effectively like these people who are owed money are going to be way down the list in terms of like getting their money back. And if you're an individual sort of like public customer, you're even way further down the list than that. So yeah, it might be some time before that actually comes to a resolution. But if they're bought by another company, then maybe everything will turn out okay. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll bring you updates as and when we hear them. But talking about companies in trouble, or maybe just splitting off from the warm embrace of other companies.
Yes, we've got another company update here. It's Asmodee. As the end of the financial year approaches, we see a lot of companies bringing their financial reports out for the final financial quarter of 2024. Asmodee, the board game giant that owns many studios and is itself owned by Swedish media holding company Embracer Group, has had a notably stronger quarter, with its net sales up 11.1% to €429 million. And the studio itself expecting game growth from its own studios to hit 29%. A lot of this is down to games based on third-party intellectual properties, namely Lord of the Rings, its Seven Wonders reskin, Duel for Middle-earth. Then we've got Star Wars Unlimited, a trading card game based on a galaxy far, far away, and Lego's new board game, Monkey Palace. Asmodee was taken over by Embracer in March 2022 in a €2.75 billion deal. As we have reported previously on Brainwaves, Embracer's fortunes have been somewhat rocky of late, and in April 2024 it put €900 million of debt onto Asmodee, which was then reduced by $400 million after a cash injection by Embracer, $300 million of which is going to repay debt. On February the 7th, Asmodee shares will trade as themselves again on the Stockholm Stock Exchange after April's announcement that Asmodee will spin off from parents Embracer this week. Thomas Kugler, who is Chief Executive Officer of Asmodee since September 2024, said of the split,
"It's a project that's very dear to my heart. Until now, Asmodee has remained a corporate B2B business-to-business brand. It's time to make it a consumer-facing brand, complementary to our fan-beloved products and studio brands. By having Asmodee as a strong consumer brand will serve as a seal of quality, improve recommendation across products, across studio brands, across playtypes, leading to more sales."
So there we go. I think we did sort of read into the news before that Asmodee might be split off, and here we go. We've got the confirmation now. What actually splitting off means in real terms, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine Embracer entirely separating themselves from it because it's a part of the company that makes money. Also, that quote from Kugler is just absolute corporate nonsense speak.
It's talking
means
a lot,
nothing.
you're not saying anything.
It means absolutely nothing.
A strong consumer brand will serve as a seal of quality. People already know who Asmodee is.
Yeah. Don't know what that's all about.
Yeah. But even so, it's still got several 100 million euros of debt. So, as you said before we started, Oliver, there is splitting off and there is, imagine inverted commas, listeners, splitting off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a corporate separation, as in it's a separate limited company or legal entity of some sort? But does it actually mean that Embracer shareholders might still own Asmodee? Or, what happens behind the scenes? It's not clear from this. As we said, it doesn't make sense for Embracer to get rid of Asmodee completely unless they would get a huge payment for that. But even then, don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And obviously, we'll give you updates as we get them. Now, speaking of separation, there's some inclusion happening here with the Ennies, Jamie?
Well, some inclusion that's really a delusion. The Ennie Awards are a yearly celebration of the world of tabletop RPGs. Now, it started on the site EN World and RPG News. Now, it started on the site EN World, an RPG news and information site, and now has its own dedicated website and a prime place in the culture of RPGs. For 2024's award and this year's upcoming award, the Ennies have come under fire for letting works that had AI-generated content into the competition. It was arranged such that if your product had AI art in it, it couldn't be in an art award category. You had to self-declare if you were using AI in your product. Voices against this decision grew louder this year, and the Ennies have said that they're going to change their policy for this year's award. In a press release on the Ennie Award site, they said this.
In response to this feedback, the Ennie Awards are amending their policy regarding generative AI. Beginning with the 2025-2026 submission cycle, the Ennie Awards will no longer accept any products containing generative AI or created with the assistance of large language modules or similar technologies for visual, written, or edited content. Creators wishing to submit products must ensure that no AI-generated elements are included in their works. While it is not feasible to retroactively alter the rules for the 2024-2025 season, this revised policy reflects the Ennie Awards' commitment to celebrating the human creativity at the heart of the TTRPG community. The Ennies remain a small, volunteer-run organization that values the ability to adapt quickly when necessary, despite the challenges inherent in their mission. So, no AI, but not quite yet. Is that what we're saying?
It's this year. That's their plan.
Yeah, but I think they've already started accepting sort of nominees for this year, so I guess they're sort of like finding it difficult to backtrack on that at the moment,
But of course, there's always the having to self-declare if that's still going on. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're just going to go, nope, none of it.
Yeah. I mean, will that mean that more stuff gets stuck under the radar?
Almost
certainly. Who knows? Yeah. And as AI tech gets better, will it be harder to spot? Yes. Who knows what that means for the sort of TTRPG world?
Yeah, I was going to say, we said before that AI sometimes is hard to uncover. You obviously know about the images with disfigured people and whatever else, but certainly sort of in the text area, if someone, creates rules or whatever using something like ChatGPT, don't know how easy it's going to be to tell. So, going to be hard to police all this.
Might be if you look at it and go, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, to be fair, people have written many things that don't make much sense, but...
Yeah.
I know, Iain, you're not Not that you don't like the Ennies, but I know that you're a bit cooler on it than some.
I've kind of gone off them over the last couple of years. I feel like
Why?
there's way too many categories. I feel like
agree.
a bit more focus would make them more interesting, and they'd also be able to deep dive into various products. I feel like they're sort of like, it feels like a lot of the time their knowledge of the sort of role-playing game scene is very surface level. And it's just like what's attracted their interest, but they're still held up as this sort of like Oscars of the RPG world. I just don't feel like that's the case.
I'm sorry, Iain. Again, for my ignorance, what do you mean that it's quite surface level? I'm not intelligent.
Like there's like, if you look back over the last few years, there's some really weird glaring omissions of like games that have been like really popular in the culture but aren't in the Ennies. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but if you look at like a particular year and the sort of chat about RPGs of that year, there will be some glaring omissions in the Ennies, and that has been the case for the last few years.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's
weird.
The judging committee is quite a small one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. That's just wondering. Anyway, enough of this nonsense and this banter. Let's move on to the updates.
Back in episode 140, we reported on the lawsuit between notorious publisher Golden Bell and webcomic creator Alex Norris, who created the Webcomic Name series. This series presents a 3-panel comic with a creature saying, "Oh no," in the end panel. For those not familiar with Golden Bell, they practically have their own segment on Brainwaves. They are a publisher who has repeatedly been responsible for like Kickstarter campaigns, most famously with the game Unbroken. Golden Bell has multiple late and failed projects under its belt. If you're ever approached by Golden Bell to publish your game, our advice here at Brainwaves is to run very fast in the other direction. We'll put a link in the show notes to a Board Game Geek list of all their failed projects and nefarious actions. Golden Bell had tried to claim they had all the rights to Alex's work when he entered into a relationship with them to publish a game based on the comic. An initial lawsuit in 2022 had almost come to a conclusion when in March 2024, Alex was sued again. It seems like this saga has now come to a conclusion, with Alex posting this on the GoFundMe. He started to fight the lawsuit.
Alex Norris and Golden Bell have settled their respective legal cases out of court to their mutual satisfaction. Golden Bell will retain their right to make Webcomic Name plush toys, a physical card game and a digital game, one expansion pack to the game, and a Webcomic Name book featuring animals. Alex Norris will retain the rights to their characters, trademarks and copyrights of the Webcomic Name intellectual property. Golden Bell and Alex Norris are excited to bring these exclusive products to the fans of Webcomic Name and to move forward now that these matters have been resolved.
I mean, I'm personally glad this has been settled, but it sounds a bit in Alex's favour. As we said in the piece, I don't trust Golden Bell or any of their representatives. Do not sign up contracts with Golden Bell. There are huge numbers of horror stories about first-time creators having horrible experiences with this particular company. Reading between the lines of that, it feels like they've come to a sort of compromise solution, which not everyone's happy about, but will actually sort of disentangle Alex Norris and Golden Bell from their sort of legal relationship, which is
obligation.
Going to be good. Yes, obligations is the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, that'll be good for Alex in the long run. So all good in the end, I hope. Talking about horrible companies.
I was going to say, yeah. Yes, we first reported on RPG publisher Evil Genius Games when a deal fell through between them and streaming service Netflix to produce an RPG with the Rebel Moon franchise. Rebel Moon is the latest opus from filmmaker Zack Snyder. Over the last year, they came under fire for trying to integrate Web3 technology, meaning Bitcoin, etc., into their company plans, and also for mistreatment of staff that led to the company reducing its size significantly as they went into 2024. Now it seems like the Chief Executive Officer Dave Scott is trying to remove any mention of the controversies the firm has been involved with by asking folks to take down posts. A Reddit user posted about this, and we believe EN World, that posted an investigation into the company, has also been approached. This, of course, has had the exact opposite effect that Dave Scott wanted, drawing attention once more to the EN World post in question. For those not familiar, this is called the Barbara Streisand effect. It's named after the famous singer who tried to suppress photos of her Malibu home, thus drawing attention to its location. It has since been used in popular culture to mean drawing attention to something by the act of trying to stop people from looking at it. You'll find a link to the Iain World post in our show notes.
And I think it would be a terrible idea. I mean, I think it'd be a really terrible idea. If
you should definitely not go and read that at all.
I'm not saying you should.
That'd
do
be awful.
Don't do this. But it'd be terrible if you found this article or this link and then you put it on your social media and you encourage your friends to share it and other people and really just highlight that very much Evil Genius Games lives up to the first word in their title.
Yeah, but they're definitely not a genius if they're doing that. We'll link to the Reddit comments as well, where you can see the post from Dave Scott as well, where he basically sort of blames the article for destroying his company. It's like, no, your actions destroyed your company, and then people just drew attention to them.
I haven't seen it, Iain. Does he mention being cancelled?
No, he does not.
Oh,
that I remember.
Shame.
It's been a couple of days since I read it.
So just to clarify, at the time of recording, the Brainwaves team haven't received a cease and desist notice. So watch this space.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date on that, because if he does send us one, we'll ignore it.
And we'll parade it. We'll parade that we have been sent.
Like a badge of honor.
Yeah,
I can't speak for
an update.
I can't speak for these two. I will.
I'll put on a t-shirt.
Oh, I'd love a t-shirt for that. All I got was... I did this and I shared this link and all I got was his lousy cease and desist letter.
Indeed. Anyway, that's enough updates. Let's move on to the main news.
But we're not done with awful companies yet. VML, a community that supports people of marginalised genders and hosts Magic the Gathering tournaments on MTG Arena, the online platform, and streams them live via Twitch, announced on the 20th of January in a Blue Sky post that Wizards of the Coast, the publisher of Magic the Gathering and owner of MTG Arena, had stopped their support of VML by withdrawing funding and no longer offering invites to organise play events. As a direct result of Wizards of the Coast actions, VML is no longer able to continue the league and there'll be no more VML seasons. Now, over the past 5 years, VML has helped to change the competitive play of Magic the Gathering for the better by increasing the representation of people of marginalised genders and making the community a more diverse, vibrant and inclusive place. In their Blue Sky post, VML thanks all the organisations who have worked with them and supported the cause and the many wonderful creators, personalities and players who have contributed. VML finished their post with these words.
To everyone who has been part of the team here, you have all been brilliant, and without your passion and dedication, we would not have made it this far. Every single one of you has gone above and beyond, giving your time and effort generously to the program, and you should be extremely proud of yourselves. Finally, to our awesome community, we're sorry that we couldn't keep this project going. We know how much the VML has meant to you. Thank you so much to every single person who has competed, written articles, made graphs, cheered their friends, and otherwise been a part of this movement. The VML community will always be a safe space and home for you and for anyone of marginalised gender in this game.
Thank you very much to Corey from our Discord for bringing this to our attention. Thank you so much, Corey. When I was talking about bad companies, of course, it's Wizards of the Coast. Yes, it's a damn shame. This is another diverse community being excluded from organised play. And
anything to do with the presidency change in the US, by any chance?
The coincidence is hard to ignore, but I do believe that the VML themselves said that they got the notification about the cancellation of funding before that happened. But you certainly can't ignore the changing culture in America that has been coming for a while now, and wonder whether Wizards of the Coast have kind of responded to that in some way or form. I mean, if anything, these companies should be doubling down on this kind of support right now. It's more important than ever that the companies support marginalized communities and marginalized people to play their games and take part in their communities. Because why wouldn't you? They're customers.
Do you know what? They'll still do it, but they won't do it officially.
Let's hope so.
The investors.
Well, you need to do it officially. Hold a big banner saying you're doing it. That's how it works. That's how resistance works.
That's how it should work, Iain.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not. And I'm not going to get into this now.
Talking about how things should and shouldn't work. Strap in. Cool Mini or Not, the publisher of Zombicide and various other miniature-heavy board games, has announced a new hire. David Waybright of YouTube games channel Man vs. Meeple is to be the new global marketing director. David will be taking on the role full-time while continuing to run Man vs. Meeple. The hire comes at a tumultuous time for Cool Mini or Not, as revenues have fallen over the last year, and they made a switch to GameFound in an exclusive crowdfunding deal. Waybright was interviewed by Board Game Wire and said this when asked about balancing his new role with his commitment at Man vs. Meeple.
Our approach to content has always been an evolving thing, so that will continue. But I don't see things wildly changing. Viewers might see slightly less paid previews and maybe slightly more original content, and I'll mostly try to limit my involvement on the post-production side of things. When it comes to CMON products, I don't think we need to adjust much at all. Like I said, I've been a fan of many CMON games since Death May Die, and I don't see any reason to mask my feelings on that front.
Cool Mini or Not co-chief executive officer David Dost said of the hire,
"We're thrilled to have David joining the team in this role and look forward to the impact of the experience he brings. He'll bring a welcome perspective to all aspects of our operations and lead marketing for everything we do."
Right, speaking of perspectives, let's have Ian's perspective on this. Go on.
I was going to say, hi, Jamie here. Oliver and I are going to shut up for the next, 5-10 minutes, Oliver?
20 at least.
We're going to leave. Okay, Ian, on you go.
Okay, right. If you're the line between reviewer, marketer, that kind of thing is obviously very blurry in some places. Shush you. But if you're a channel like Man vs. Meeple that does pay previews and that kind of thing, and you're honest about that, that's fine. If you're a marketing, I don't care. What is incredible to me in this is that David Waybright from Man vs. Meeple is not giving up his involvement with Man vs. Meeple. That means at some point, this is going to happen. He is going to pay himself to produce marketing content for Cool Mini or Not. He's going to get paid by Cool Mini or Not to do it, and then he's going to pay himself via the channel. That is definitely going to happen, and there's nothing to call that other than corruption. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
that's just corruption. If you've had a channel for a long time and it's been successful, and then a company the size of Cool Mini or Not have made you their global marketing director, you've won. Congratulations. Go and do that job now. Yay! Good for you. Give up the channel. Hand it over to some of the other people that are involved and let them do it.
Yeah. Maybe
be an advisor or something, but you're not involved anymore. Go and do that job. What on earth is happening? If you as a content creator don't realize that is a huge ethical problem, then you are lost. Absolutely lost.
I know of ethics. It's somewhere near Sussex, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of the places in your commentary, I think.
Thank you.
We're here all week.
But just to reiterate, obviously here at the Brainwaves team, we do make clear if we have any affiliations. Probably should have mentioned earlier that I got paid by Asmodee when I was reading the Asmodee channel. And personally, if I got paid by publisher, because I do some work outside of my blog, for example, I don't then review the games anymore. It's as simple as that. It's why would I? What's not that I would get paid by the publisher to then review it. I mean, that's not the case, but just simply you working for a company, you don't then talk about it or market. I know you market for the company in your job, but not then outside of it as well. So I don't know. Awful.
Yeah, it's. I mean, best luck to him in the new role and everything, but keeping the channel is just beyond me. I don't understand. Let's move on before I get more angry.
Let's move on from corruption to
another Outcry.
The Mafia. Oliver, on you go.
Yeah, we all know that every day tabletop gaming becomes a bigger part of the wider cultural landscape. This is demonstrated by a recent Guardian newspaper article detailing issues with the game releasing in Italy. La Famiglia, the Great Mafia War, was released in 2023, but has only just received an Italian translation. As you might imagine, the setting of the game has gathered some controversy in Italy. Where many have had relatives killed by La Cosa Nostra and associated criminal organizations. Maria Falcone, whose father was a judge killed by La Cosa Nostra, said this to the Corriere della Sera newspaper.
I don't understand how it is possible that someone thought of this game, which plays with the feelings of those who have lost their lives serving the state. Mafia has only created death in Sicily and Italy. A game like this offends the memory of all those who contributed to freeing this land of organized crime.
The game's designer, Maximilian Maria Thiel, said this in response to the controversy.
First of all, I am very sorry if anyone feels hurt or offended by this game. This was not our intention. In this game, only mobsters kill each other, so I don't see the problem apart from the theme, which for some seems to be a trigger. In addition, the game is deliberately kept very abstract, blocks instead of figures, so these murders are not made conscious in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we have had other games that are even more controversial potentially, and we had other games saying that obviously abstracting it using certain components that don't have any relation to what's actually going on makes it better. I don't agree.
It feels like a bit of a half-hearted apology from the designer. They could at least acknowledge.
Absolutely. Yes.
They could definitely acknowledge the fact that it's like, obviously, that's a controversial subject for a game to be released in Italy. I mean, pretty obviously, right?
Sorry this happened, but in the game that we have, it's only guilty people are killed. Only people who deserve to be killed.
I think games can tackle controversial subjects. Like we've had John Company in the last few years. We've had things like Pax Pamir. Games that tackle sort of
Holland Spieler. I mean, lots of stuff from Amabel Holland is dealing with very sensitive topics and doing it very sensitively as well.
Yeah, like Truth is Our Product, the one about like the cigarette manufacturers in the States, that kind of thing. And there's one about Flint as well, I believe.
There's one about asbestos.
Yeah. So games can tackle controversial subjects, but the designers of those games need to acknowledge that some people are going to find them problematic, and especially if you release a game about La Cosa Nostra in Italy, some people are going to get to that.
And to be honest, as much I know about the game, I haven't played it, but if I remember correctly, it seems to treat that topic in a quite light-hearted way. So I don't think there's anything in the rulebook that says, these are the terrible things that happened, and talks about the history or anything like that. It's just like, you basically people killing each other. Oh, great! But there's it basically not handled in a sensitive way.
Yeah, that's maybe it's we've talked about this many times on the show. We've talked if you're on Discord or if you know, I'm sure we've talked about it on and off. Controversial subjects, this comes around a lot. It's many different subjects with many different games, and as we keep saying, games can do it. It entirely depends on how the designer chooses to handle it and how that is portrayed.
Let's move on to some awards now.
Yeah, it might be the earliest for award season. I was about to say earliest for award season this year. Of course it is. It's the first one we've done. But it is one of the first of the year, which is the nominations for is it the Asdor or the Ardor?
Ardor, I believe.
Ardor. Sorry, apologies to our French listeners. The highest board game prize in France. It's to do with French board game companies. Now, in the general Game of the Year category, we have Captain Flip by Paolo Mori and Remo Consadori, For a Crown by Maxime Rambourg, and Odin by Johan Go, Hope Guang, and Gary Kim. Now, the expert game category, which is, heavier games, which some people might compare to the Kennerspiel Award from their Spiel des Jahres, is Daybreak by Matt Leacock and Matteo Menapace.
Yeah.
Kutnahora, The City of Silver by Andrei Bistron, Piotr Kaslava, and Pavel Jarosz. And Sancore, The Pride of Mansa Musa by Bandela Fernandez Grandon and Fabio Lopiano. In the children's game category, there is Spotlight from Hjalmar Hash and Lorenzo Silva, Mimosa in Sam et le voleur de fruits by Thomas Dagenet L'Espérance, and Operation Noisettes from Jérôme Soleil and Émile Soleil. Finally, for the Initi Game of the Year, which is somewhere in between expert and general, it's kind of got a bit more intricate mechanics. We have Behind by Cédric Millet, Harmonies by Johan Benvenuto, and Chronologic Paris 1920 by Fabien Cridel and Johan Levé. Congratulations to all the nominees. Apologies if I've pronounced your name wrong. I didn't mean to. We'll cover the winners as and when they're announced.
Wow, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Good list of nominees in there. A bunch of games I hadn't heard of that I'll need to check out.
A lot of them. And again, are we going to continue the track record of every member of the team not having played any of these games?
I have not played any of those games.
I haven't either.
Oh, that's good to know. We can report on this and have no opinions on these games whatsoever. I'm interested to try Daybreak, but...
Yep.
No one who played Odin, really? God.
Oh,
Nope.
sorry.
We're letting the side down.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm out for trick-taking games. I don't even know if any of these are trick-taking games. So.
Seems likely at this point. There's a bunch of them around.
Yep. But yeah, it doesn't receive a lot of as much attention as the Spiel des Jahres. But again, Spiel's been around for a lot longer. Outdoor is very, I guess, in the same way that Spiel is very, it's got to be released in German. I guess this is the same.
In French,
yeah, lovely.
And it's nice to see that sort of award in between. Not just the expert heavy gamers or the family, general gamers, but something sort of slightly in between, which is nice to see.
Yes, yeah. It's a little bit of meat in there, or protein.
The next step up if you're new to the hobby, basically. Now, on to the next award, Iain.
Let's move on. It's Board Game Arena, the online board game platform owned by Asmodee, has announced its 2025 awards and is inviting everyone to vote. Board Game Arena wants the awards to allow people to discover new games, share strategies, and generally come together and share their passion for board games. Board Game Arena has selected a number of games released on the platform in 2024 that were most popular with players and divided them into 5 categories, with 4 games in each one. The categories are Best Casual Game, Best Regular Game, Best Expert Game, Best Two-Player Game, and Best Animal Theme. One of those things is not like the other. You don't have to vote in every category, but if you want to vote for your favourite game, you have to have played all of the games in a given category at least once. You can keep changing your votes until the deadline of the 3rd of February, which is going to be on the day this cast comes out, actually. So,
tough luck.
The cast comes out in the morning, so rush to your computer as soon as you hear this.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting way they're doing this. They're sort of encouraging people to play more of their catalog. I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't know. I mean, it's always good that games get promoted in some way, absolutely. But yeah, I do think there's some sort of hidden agenda behind it. Not quite how hidden that is.
It feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it feels like there's some ulterior motive to get people to play the games that are already popular and get more people to play all of those games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you said at the top, who owns Board Game Arena again?
Yeah, it's Asmodee.
Asmodee, I've heard of them, I think.
Yeah, they're no longer owned by Embracer very soon, so.
Well, next week, 2 weeks soon. Best animal theme. I'm thinking, what game is like great animal theme over the past year or so? I'm like,
well, on Board Game Arena, it'd be Arcanova.
Yeah,
there are lots of them with animals in them now these days, isn't there? It seems to be every other game. Anyway, talking about companies owning other companies, Devir, the Spanish publisher and distributor of games such as Bitoku, Mayscape, and Yokai Sketch, announced on Wednesday, the 15th of January, that it bought Maldito Games, another Spanish publisher. Maldito Games is adding its catalogue of over 300 games, which includes many well-known titles such as Terraforming Mars, Brass Birmingham, Anachrony, and Wingspan to Devir's own catalogue of over 600 titles. Devir will keep the Maldito Games brand separate to allow each brand to grow and develop its own identity and allow the company to diversify its offerings and serve different segments of the board game market. Both brands will be based in the newly opened offices in Barcelona. Kim Dorka, Chief Marketing Officer of Devir, said this about the acquisition.
Adding Maldito Games to the group reinforces our movement into the expert-level games territory. More than 300 titles unlock the potential to impact points of sale, fans, and consumers.
Francisco Alamo, Chief Executive Officer of Maldito Games, added this.
The agreement with a model company like Devir represents an excellent opportunity for our brand and guarantees a new phase in which hits like Wingspan and Everdell will have a bigger impact and reach more players around the world.
Yeah, I mean, another acquisition, I think we've seen a few. We've now seen separations as well. Sounds like it's going to be good for both brands that they carry on and help each other out. So, yeah. There's a lot
of this sort of like shifting of like focus for publishers at the moment. We've reported on this a couple of times over the last few weeks where like publishers are like so focusing on heavier games or like shifting their heavier games off to focus on lighter games, that kind of thing. So there's an interesting shift happening here and there in the industry, I think, at the moment. Yeah. With what different publishers handle. Yeah.
Certainly sounds positive.
Yeah.
Speaking of positive news, Jamie.
Well, yes. Games Workshop, the tabletop miniatures manufacturer known for games such as Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar, announced on the 14th of January in their investor update a 16% increase in global sales for the last 6 months of 2024. Now, the growth is attributed to successful product launches, with new editions of Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team generating a lot of interest. Sales through third-party retailers grew by an impressive 24.3%, and Games Workshop's own stores recorded a 13.3% rise, showing renewed customer interest after slower summer months. Now, in contrast, online sales dropped by 4%, with physical products declining by over 12% year-on-year. The company acknowledged difficulties in fulfilling online orders promptly, which has contributed to the slowdown, but has taken steps to address ongoing operational challenges. That includes investments in new manufacturing facilities, including a planned factory and a dedicated paint production site, costing around £12 million in aims to boost efficiency and better meet customer demand. The company is also preparing to open a new warehouse in Sydney, supported by a global IT upgrade, which will help improve stock availability and order fulfillment in the Southern Hemisphere. Despite these challenges in the online segment, Games Workshop remains highly profitable, reporting £95.2 million in net profit for the same period, equating to a 32% margin.
Oof.
I mean,
Wow.
Not just
That's a
any
lot of margin.
not just any companies get onto the FTSE 100.
No.
That's a huge margin they operate at.
It
Wow.
is, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
impressive.
Yes.
Seeing it on paper suddenly, brings it home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the price. Yeah.
They show no sign of slowing down as well. Keep
No,
producing
exactly,
things, keep farming out their properties into like films and TV and computer games. So yeah, we're just going to see them go from strength to strength, I guess. That's how it is.
Yeah. Right,
Now-
moving on from Games Workshop to...
Events.
No, I got nothing.
Just to work, basically. So
Work. Games Workshop, it's just no games, no shop, just work.
yeah, if you like a job in the tabletop games industry, then we do recommend the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group. There's a lot of interesting opportunities on there right now. Mantic are looking for folk right now. I think Mythic are as well. There's various other sort of UK companies looking for positions, and there's opportunities further afield as well. We were approached also by the Beachhead Expo. That is this coming weekend as this cast goes out. Awards-wise, if you are an emerging designer, then the Diana Jones Emerging Designer Award might be for you. It is now open for submissions, with the deadline being the 14th of February. The award is aimed at folk who are just starting their game design journey and is aimed at groups that have historically been excluded from the wider hobby conversation. The prize provides support and tools to help designers on their journey. This will include a $2,000 travel reimbursement for Gen Con 2025, a daily food allowance for the convention, and $2,000 towards helping them present their work at the convention. Other prizes are to be announced, but have in the past included prototyping credit at sites like the Game Crafter. Eligible designers should have released their first game no more than 3 years ago. This release could be free, pay what you want, or a more traditional commercial product. Further details and submissions form are on the Diana Jones website that we will link to in our show notes. The Green Games Guide that we talked about last year has announced an award as well. So if you have a game that you think has great environmental credentials, then you might want to consider submitting it for this particular accolade. The Green Games Guide was launched last year as an initiative from various game designers, publishers, and GAMA, that's the American Game Manufacturers Association. And the aim was to put out information on how to move your production towards more sustainable methods of product development. Now, the organization is looking for submissions for games that fulfill this drive to be more sustainably produced. You can submit games up to the 28th of February. And again, links will be in our show notes. There's a couple of things we'd like to draw your attention to as well. There's a couple of tabletop role-playing game bundles going around at the moment. With the recent changes in the American political landscape and the rise of the far right around the globe, it is easy to feel helpless against the rising tide of fascism. A little sliver of hope is to be found in the world of tabletop gaming. Not only did some of the largest RPG Reddits recently ban all links to Twitter after Elon Musk's Sieg Heil at the inauguration, but a bunch of TTRPG designers have a bundle of games that will raise money for the Center for Constitutional Rights. The organization works on advancing and protecting the rights guaranteed by the United States Constitution. Another bundle has returned for its 5th year. The Solo But Not Alone bundle is a variety of solo RPGs that raise money for Take This, a charity that specifically supports those with mental health issues in the gaming community and the games industry. Put links to both those in the show notes. And it's a bit of a hard read, but we would recommend a piece that we'll link to in our show notes about Hasbro's history with the Magdalena Laundries. If you're not familiar with the Magdalena Laundries, very briefly, they were a sort of Irish institution, mostly created by the church, where the Catholic Church specifically, where unwanted women who had children out of wedlock, or women who were unwed, or women who were just seen as nuisance, basically, were basically put into slave labor to clean clothes for people. And when when laundries became not a thing anymore because of the invention of the washing machine, other companies use these laundries to do other work, like Hasbro and packing games. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. Do give it a read.
That leaves me to thank our supporters: Kevin Bertram from Full Circle Games, James Naylor from Naylor Games, and Sean Newman from the Game Lot Board Games Lot. If you want to support us like these people do, you can join the Patreon for, is it $2 a month? $1 a month?
Just $1 a month.
$1 a month.
We're cheap.
I do it in pounds. We do it in dollars. Just go to patreon.com/thegiantbrain. There's also more information on the website, giantbrain.co.uk, support-us-new, ways of supporting us. For example, using Fanroll as well. The reference and the link will stick in the show notes, so you can buy some nice dice and stuff through that. And yeah, thanks very much to all the supporters and everyone else as well. Now, Jamie, I can picture something in my head.
Wait, let me see. I know we're several hundred miles away. Hold on, I'm thinking. You're thinking of Monopoly.
Yes, I was. How did you know? That's amazing.
Listen, I'm just. I've been trained.
Is this a Monopoly outro that you're doing for us?
No, sorry, it's actually not. This is a very long. I know you were thinking of Monopoly, and
I knew there was going to be disappointment somewhere.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm a big disappointment. But it's my job to do more AI chat. That's right.
Yay.
With all the hullabaloo over artificial intelligence, it's nice sometimes to get back to solid board games we know and love and play like a game with AI. From Mattel, purveyors of plastic and pasteboard like Barbie and Uno, comes Pictionary versus AI. Yep, why let flesh bags guess you has to form scribbles when you can rely on machine learning? Now, a player draws a picture from a clue. So far, so Pictionary. But in this version, other players then bet if the AI will guess it right or not. Then you show the AI through an app, and players get points based if they bet the right way. Currently, on the website, the Mattel website, there are a number of one-star reviews citing issues with connecting to the app, and funnily enough, the AI not guessing things correctly. Now, bearing in mind, this is probably the very beginning of the product's life, so maybe give it a bit of time. Who knows what's going to happen? Mattel promise a truly unique gaming experience.
You can do air quotes on a podcast.
I think you'll find I can do air quotes because I just did. Call me old-fashioned. I prefer people guessing my rubbish stuff than propping up an inherently unstable and unreliable technology that will learn from my awful scribbles. This is how we beat machines. Bad pictograms.
I mean, to me, this feels like a very sly way to train some algorithms.
Of course.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. I don't like it at all.
No, I hate it.
I wonder what
awful.
Conditions say.
I don't know. And apparently a lot of other people, according to the one-star reviews, also don't like it because it's just terrible right now. But also, no. It'll clearly get better over time if it is working the way we think it's working. That maybe you're able to be sent off somewhere else and then improve things.
Fed into Google DeepMind.
I was unable to find out which, engine or what it's actually using as the AI software. So if you find that out, please let me know. And maybe a couple of months down the line, if you're in a board game shop or in Waterstones or something, or other bookshops are available.
It's not the Chinese DeepSeek by any chance, is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's DeepSeek. If it is, well,
We're not the BBC. You don't have to say all the bookshops are available.
But I will, because there are other bookshops, because sometimes Waterston can be crap.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for listening. If you like what you've listened to, then the best way to help us out is to share the podcast and drop us a review and rating on your podcast host of choice. You can also follow Oliver at tabletopgamesblog.com. You can come and join us on our Discord, and there'll be an invite in the show notes. Oliver and I are on Blue Sky. I'm on giantbrain.co.uk, and Oliver is just Tabletop Games Blog, Oliver?
Yeah, Tabletop Games Blog, perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm also on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Why do you forget I'm on Blue Sky?
Because I do. We're barely on Instagram anymore, to be honest. I don't really use it anymore. We're Giant Brain UK. You can't message us on there. I'll still check it from time to time. Our Facebook is the Giant Brain. Our main website is giantbrain.co.uk. And our email is giantbrainuk@gmail.com. But the best way to really get in touch with us is Blue Sky or Discord. Thanks very much for listening, folks. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.